The Jets are not as good as the other teams in the AFC East. They could be if everything goes right for them. I feel like almost every unit on the Jets, you're like, oh, there's potential here. It could go right. And you like the coaching staff, but then when you talk about the overall New York Jets projection, it's near the bottom of the league.
I think the whole aspect of that is just you got like there's a lot of optimism, and I think there's some kind of sicko eternal optimism with Jets fans. There's always some kind of inkling that this is the year. But the draft class that they just had and the free agent talent that they brought in this year, coupled with what they already had existing on the roster, there's a lot of different ways to go with this. I think the offense is really interesting. I'm really excited to look into the secondary more as training camp goes on. Where do you want to start?
It's interesting because you think about like telling the story of a team turning it around. I feel like the story of the Jets are a surprise playoff team is a much easier story to tell than the Atlanta Falcons are a surprise playoff team, or even the New York Giants are a surprise playoff team. And I think you start with the quarterback because it feels like they're strong receivers. It feels like the offensive line is a little underrated. You've got our number one running back prospect in Breece Hall and a talented backup in Michael Carter. A lot of it comes down to just, can Zach Wilson take a massive step forward? Because he was bad last year.
It was really rough to see, but I think the reason that the Jets are more believable as a playoff hopeful than the teams you mentioned is just because of how high the upside is for Zach Wilson. And we start like the biggest thing that stuck out to me is I'm not as big of a guy who follows college. So I was only really kind of cursory following the Jets or the prospects coming into the season. I do like minor film labs here and there. But the highlight packages you see from Zach Wilson are 60-yard bombs, throws on the run, evasions of pressure, just mind-blowing, plays that evoke Mahomes and modern Josh Allen, or later in his career, Josh Allen. What you see at the beginning of the year is him just trying to do that over and over and over and over again to no avail. He didn't know when to throw it away. He didn't know when to check down. It's constantly extending plays. The biggest eye-opening one for me was just that Patriots game, that first Patriots game in week 2. The 4 straight interceptions for Wilson in that game, I think maybe 5, but just plays where he's trying to save things out of structure, throw it up, and Devin McCourty or J.C. Jackson are just sitting right under it. And there's a couple of the later ones, there's not a Jets receiver within 3-4 yards of it. It's just Zach Wilson trying to resurrect plays. The Mike White game is where you really start to see like, oh, this is an offense that Mike White is running exclusively on checkdowns, and you're able to beat the Bengals. Then you see Bill sitting lower on routes, Mike White unable to do anything about that, nothing underneath. Zach Wilson really, I think, kind of learned from that. He started to improve it in the back half of the year, but by then, he's thrown to Braxton Berrios as his lead receiver. You can't do that.
Way better weapons for this year with Garrett Wilson there.
Absolutely.
And Corey Davis healthier, and Elijah Moore with another year of experience.
Garrett Wilson kind of throws a win-win across the board for the Jets. If Corey Davis is actually playing up to his contract, then Wilson, acts as sort of a great third guy potentially, or a great first guy, depending on how you order it. But if Davis can't get up to snuff, then Wilson kind of bumps him down the depth chart, and now Corey Davis can play the role of a great third receiver. It's the versatility that he's able to provide is really impressive. I think it opens up a lot. It also makes me a lot more optimistic about Berrios. Like sort of the tail end comeback for him. He's done it 2 years in a row now where he stepped up for players in injury. And letting Jamison Crowder walk, I think they at least have some kind of faith in him.
I want to get to the defense just because Thor Dane asked, how on earth the Jets jumped to a top 10 defensive projection? And I will fully admit that when I did our projections, I think I emailed everyone and was like, by the way, here's one of the weird ones. The Jets had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. There's 2 stats in particular that the defensive projection system really sees as strongly regressing to the mean. And if I remember correctly, the Jets were really bad in both of them last year. And that is defense against short yardage runs and takeaway per drive on defense. And then you add to that all the talent that they've added on defense. First of all, Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson, the 2 first-round picks. And then getting Carl Lawson back from injury that cost him all of last year. And LaMarcus Joyner back from injury that cost him all of last year. And DJ Reed and Jordan Whitehead. This is a lot of new and healthier and then younger. Like, there's all kinds of interesting talent now in the defense that wasn't there last year. And this doesn't go into the projection system, but I think anecdotally, we know that Saleh ran a good defense in San Francisco. I think, hey, Robert Saleh turns this defense around in his second year is a story you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, Brian told it in the 2021 Almanac chapter when he was writing up the Jets. Saleh didn't start out fantastically in San Francisco when he was a defensive coordinator. That I've got a squall going on outside. I'm sorry. That 49ers secondary ranked bottom 10 in the league the first 2 years before kind of introducing the cover 2 system into San Francisco. And then they jump up to a top 10 unit. I also think a lot of the secondary issues end up coming from just how young they were. I dropped the Jets started over 6,000 snaps from rookies, second most in the league. A lot of that outside of Zach Wilson and Elijah Vera-Tucker, most of the rest of those came from the secondary and guys like Michael Carter, the cornerback, Ashton Davis, the safety, I believe, as well. Really relying on Bryce Hall to play as a second-year corner. They had, I think 4 of the top 6 snap getters for the Jets were either first or second-year players. And now you're relying on a guy like Sauce coming out as a rookie, but he also has a proven track record. Everyone else for the Jets were day 3 young picks. This is now a lead guy who can really come in. He picked number 1 on his jersey for a reason. He's, kind of Babe Ruth calling his shot there.
I believe he is the straw that stirs the drink.
He's really got the talent to be kind of a lead guy. And I'm pretty excited about DJ Reed and even Jordan Whitehead, just the veteran presence that they're able to bring in. Whitehead playing alongside LaMarcus Joyner, I think is going to be a lot stronger of a safety group going forward. I think DJ Reed, who is a solid veteran from his early days, is just going to be able to mesh in really well and help out these guys. But those 2, Reed and Gardner, immediately jump to the top 2 of the depth chart, and then everyone else that was a starter last year falls below. So now they go from a really young, really weak team to a surprisingly deep
right
cornerback unit.
I think Thordain has a point where he says that he's flashing back to the Patriots game where they just abused the Jets' defensive line by running the ball. All the improvements we're talking about here, other than just like regression to the mean on defense against short yardage, the player improvements are all pass guys. I guess Jordan Whitehead is a strong safety, so maybe he's a little bit of a run guy, but really he's a pass guy. DJ Reed, pass guy. Sauce Gardner, pass guy. Jermaine Johnson and Carl Lawson, pass rush. So, yeah, their run defense is still going to be a problem. I think where we see the improvement significantly is in the pass defense.
Oh, and that's where they needed by far the most improvement, finishing dead last in defensive pass DVOA. But I like the strengths of, that front 4 of John Franklin Myers, Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Carl
It should
Lawson.
be better than it was last year. Those players should be better than they were last year. Quinnen Williams is good. It should be better than they were last year. All right, well, we wait to see if Cale comes back. I'll just respond to Rivka Board about it's funny that we're so much higher on the Jets defense because the offense has so much more talent. I think that when you look at the raw talent, it does seem like the offense should have more talent, but so much is about the quarterback. And I think that our systems don't see a likely gigantic improvement from Wilson. Like, is the possibility there? Yes. Is it likely? No. And so that's why our offensive projection is so much lower than what looks like, I'll admit, like a weird-looking high defensive projection. Hey, there's Cale, just in time for me to sign off. Do you have any other words you'd like to say about the I sign off? I think the storms hit you down.
It just knocked out my power for a second, knocked out my internet. The last thing I gotta say about Jets, it really Wilson, if they can maximize on his ceiling, allowing like that floor to rise, just being able to hit those checkdowns, like Brees Hall, Michael Carter, Ty Johnson was top 10 among running backs. They now bring back a pretty versatile group with Brees Hall, our top guy coming out of the draft. I don't think success for this Jets more than 6 wins, 7 wins, but they have on paper guard. It's still a young team, but it's at least like a competent, which they haven't always been able to say.
Nick Foster says in the comments, it's not saying it's going to happen, but they do have every indicator of a bad team that makes a massive jump. And I would agree with that. There are a lot of indicators here. And by the way, I would include the quarterback in that, because while we don't think he's very good based on his rookie season and the fact that he didn't play a very hard schedule in college, the fact is you're talking about a number 2 overall pick here. The potential is still good. So the story you can tell about the Jets turning it around, like I said, it's an easier story to tell than a lot of the other teams at the bottom of our projection.
Gets cut for the first down into the secondary. Aaron Donald cannot be stopped.